Alright guys, welcome back to our next devlog. So this video is a bit longer than normal. I spent multiple days working on the contents for this video when normally I just work for about a day and then edit off of that. So we didn't do that this time. So this time we spent multiple days working and then I shoved it all into one slightly longer video. I'm not going to go quite in depth as how I normally do, where I normally show like every piece of code and explain everything. We didn't go that quite in depth with this video just because I didn't want this to be too long. So I want to save you guys some time. So the first thing I went into today was revamping just the entire game in general. I wasn't a huge fan of the cave theme anymore. I feel like it was really limiting how much I could do. So the first thing I thought of was making it like a grassland and just making it so there was like a curse or something making everything dark, and that's why we need the fire to survive. I didn't think too deep into it. I just thought making it outside would allow me to do much more, including new enemies, sticks, trees, plants, stuff like that. So that's what we kind of got into this video, was making the environment a bit more alive, giving us more stuff to do. So I think the first thing we're going to go into here is making a rock for the player to mine. So my idea for this was just make the rock take 4 hits to mine, and the sprite updates after every hit until it eventually breaks. Now in the future I would like to make this as a collectible, so once you mine the rock it gives you stone or flint or something along that line. Because I think I'm going to make it so the player can place down torches when he collects enough materials to make more lighting and essentially build more safe zones to stay free from enemies. Because at the moment the map's pretty small, you can just run back to the fire. I plan on making the map bigger eventually, so I think adding torches and just ways to expand your safe zones is going to be very good. So I don't know if you guys saw on the sprite sheet there, but there was like a little brown bundle at the bottom. That was supposed to be like a little bundle of sticks. That was where I was just gonna make like a collectible. You walk over them and pick them up. So those would also go along with, you know, the torch thing. But I did not get to that this video, unfortunately. So I did have to go into Sprite and tweak the files a bit, make everything separate, so we can add them into like the rock stages in the editor. At the first playtest here, it was not working. Wasn't 100% sure what's going on, and we know it's more than just like an update issue. The real issue was here it shows the group minables, so that's in the pickaxes code, where we have if the enemy is in group enemies, that's where the pickaxe interacts with the bat. We decided to make the rock into a different group of itself because I didn't really want my rocks and my enemies in the same group. I feel like that would cause some issues later on, so I tried to make the own group for the rock and just add an OR function. That was the issue the entire time. Once I ended up changing and putting the rock into the enemy's grouping, it worked perfectly fine. Not 100% sure what that's all about. In the future I might go back and tweak it if issues arise, but if not, I don't see an issue. It's more or less just like allowing the pickaxe to interact with the thing and not really applying any properties to it. So I think we were going to keep that for now. So this part here that we're currently watching is like a ×20 time lapse, because when I was working on the rock I actually like got annoyed and decided to start working on some other things. I think I tried adding like a health bar UI, like cheating my way towards it, and it didn't work or come out as nice as I thought it would. So UI is going to be a whole nother video, because UI does take a while to do. Here I am messing around with the groups again once I got back into it, and as we see, once I delete the whole minables grouping and I go into the rock and add the rock to the enemy's group, we're gonna see right after I do this that it will now work. So as we see right here, it's now mining. It looks a little goofy right now because I have visible collisions on. That's only on to make sure that the pickaxe and the rock are actually colliding. Here we have it without that turned on. And if you see the health bar floating above, that's when I was trying to mess around with it and put it towards the top of the screen. Didn't work well. I fixed that later. So now we move on to our next item, which is the glow berry. So the whole thought process on this was making it so the player had a way to heal outside of the campfire. Like I stated earlier, I want to make the map bigger, and my plan with the torches is just to make them as a source of light in a safe zone, but not make them heal you like the campfire does. So that's where the glow berries will come in. When you're out in the field and you can't get back to your campfire to heal, if you get low, because the bats are actually pretty dangerous, they're really fast, the glow berries will heal you up for 35 HP, and at the moment they grow back in 10 seconds. Probably gonna make that a lot bigger, but that's just how I had it right now for testing. So I actually did add lights to the berries themselves, just because the name is glowberry. Took a bit to actually get these where I wanted them. I just had to turn down the brightness of them a lot because it was just way too bright. But once I got them to how I liked them, I was actually pretty happy with the way they turned out. So next up, we have to work on the healing function of them because they don't have that yet. This was just the visuals, and I think the player can eat them at this point. I got distracted here. I was trying to figure out how the pickaxe was working, because if the player turned while swinging the pickaxe, it swings the pickaxe the different direction too. So next up, we got working on our healing function, which was not that hard actually, because if you guys watched our previous videos, you would know that we already have a healing mechanic implemented in the fire, like I was just talking about. So we pretty much just had to make it so when the player eats said berry, it triggers that heal function, or calls that heal function in the player. So it wasn't that complicated. I did get a little confused, and it did take me a minute or two to figure it out, but overall was one of the easier parts of the couple days that I worked on this. So after we finished up this, there was a little bit of a visual bug that happened, as we're going to see in about a second here. The bottom of the plant, literally just the last pixel, was extremely stretched out for some reason, both on the stem and of the berry. Now, there was nothing wrong with the eating mechanic and the regrow mechanic or the lights themselves, so I knew that this was purely just a visual bug and nothing with code. It did take me a while to figure out what was causing this, and I think I clipped it out, but I did go into Sprite multiple times and redraw this just to figure out the issue. I would have figured it out sooner, but I ended up accidentally uploading the same Sprite file like twice, thinking it was a new one and getting the same error. But once I uploaded the actual ones I needed, as we see here, no stretch, it works fine. So now that that was out of the way, all we really need to do now is test out that the healing mechanic is actually working. So I'm just going to quickly take some damage from a bat, and at first it was not working. It just was not letting the player eat anymore at all. So the eating function was not working now. So this took me a bit. I ended up editing the healing amount, thinking that would do something. And then I went and dove into the code to figure out the thing here. So I don't think it was detecting the player anymore, but I think we fixed it right here. So let's see. Alright, so the eating mechanic is now working again, and here we take damage. And by now I'd already spread the plants out throughout the map a bit more. I didn't really want them to be random spawns because I didn't really want them to spawn too close to each other, so I kind of just placed them a distance away. So next up, I want to work on the rock spawning, because opposite of what I said to the berries, I want these to be completely random and respawn when broken, whereas the berries just grow back so they don't need a new position. So right there, I just set up a little spawn area for them, just making sure that they stayed inside of the map and outside of our player's campfire area. So this was probably the most confusing part of today's video. Very, very long amount of code, and it's very confusing. I didn't even know what was going on half of the time, to be honest with you. This definitely took the longest. I think this part of the video, like the raw footage, was like 3 hours. Now I wasn't working for that entire time. I did take breaks and just not pause the recording, but yeah, there was a lot going on here. So unfortunately, even if you guys asked me, I could not explain 110% how everything here works, because it's just a lot, to be honest with you. But the important thing is that it does now work. So yay, that was good. As we see here, I think we show it off. I set the spawn count to 100, just to make sure that I can really see, because I didn't want to set it to like 5 and then have to run all around just to see. So we come around here. This rock is in the safe zone, but that's the one I placed manually. It was not spawned in, thankfully. So the mining seemed to be working for all of them. There didn't seem to be an issue at all. Up there, you'll see in a second, there was some clipping of a rock spawning like on top of a glowberry. If this really becomes an issue that I see, I can just remove the spawning from the glowberries positions, since they'll have their own set positions and don't spawn in randomly. But the count's not going to be 100, it's going to be more like 10, and they're going to respawn. I probably will make it so they cannot spawn on the berries, because that will become an issue eventually. So yeah, the last thing I did here was I added a death animation to the bats, finally. Ignore the glowing light on the rock. That was when I was testing out spawns and making sure that, trying to see if they would respawn after breaking. Newsflash, they didn't. So yeah, but after finishing all that, I was not in the mood to work on respawning, so I just left it there. So first off, we saw there that it works, but the animation plays and then starts to repeat before it finishes. I kind of like the bat just laying on the ground for a long period of time, so I just copy and pasted the final frame like 5 more times. And now we can see that when we kill the bat, it sits there and then it goes away. I wasn't a huge fan of the disappearing, so in the future I might add a couple extra frames where it like wilts away into dust and flies away in the wind or something like that. It like blows away, and that'd be pretty cool. It wouldn't be that hard to implement. But again, just a future thought. If you guys have any ideas for either a new enemy or how you want to implement a death animation, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll consider adding them in if I feel like they match the game and are easily doable. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I know the video was literally just me talking the entire time. I'm sorry, but there was just a lot going on, to be honest with you guys, and I wanted to be able to explain all of it. So one last thing, probably going to be taking a little bit of a break, not long, maybe a week from this game, and working on another project that I've been wanting to work on for a while. I'll show you guys that one. I probably won't make videos about it as regularly as I do this game, more or less just like a once in a while update of everything going on. But I honestly think that it'll be a fun change of pace. It's going to be a fighting game, so yeah, feel free to tune into those videos, and I'll try to post as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching.